Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Wrestling Discussions. On today's episode, we've got, well, we've got a couple things to talk about, but we also have a really sad topic to discuss. Not sure how many of you have been made aware of the news, but one member of the current Ring of Honor Tag Team Champions, the Briscoe Boys, Jay Briscoe, unfortunately was in a car accident and was killed, unfortunately. Rest in peace, Jay. It's really sad to hear. First of all, it's really sad to hear that such a great wrestler, um, a true hero to this business, a true lover and fighter of this business, has unfortunately passed away. And, and on top of that, it just sucks in general that things like this have to happen in the world. But unfortunately, they do every day. And unfortunately, this one took the life of Jay Briscoe. Um, and my heart goes out to him and his family and everyone else involved. There was someone else killed in the accident, as far as I know. I don't have all the information. If you guys want more of the information, feel free to, comment that down below, and I will try and respond with links to websites and stuff like that. But unfortunately, yes, Jay Briscoe has passed away. Him and his brother, Mark, 13-time Ring of Honor Tag Team Champions. Truly some of the best wrestlers in the world, some of the best tag team wrestlers in the world. They have changed and made tag team wrestling into what it is today. And they have really just set the bar for tag team wrestling. And Jay Briscoe was a major part of that, obviously being the brother to Mark, being the other half to this tag team that did so much. Jay Briscoe, thank you very much for everything you did. We miss you, buddy, but we just hope wherever you are that you're in a good place and that you can rest in peace. Thank you for everything you've given to this business for as long as you've done it, and I mean God, this just was so unexpected, but my thoughts and prayers go out to him and his family. And again, Jay Briscoe, thank you so much for everything you've done in this business. And Mark, same thing to Mark. Thank you for everything you've done. I'm hoping you can take some time off in this situation and just regroup and rethink your thoughts on everything. Jay Briscoe passing away at 38 years old. Rest in peace, buddy. Rest in peace. Alright, so let's try and switch into a little more into the episode. I'm not trying to take away at all from the fact of what happened, but a lot has happened in the wrestling world. This one being one of the most recent. NXT last night, I had said in yesterday's episode I'd go over. I'm going to actually start sticking with the idea of Jay Briscoe. NXT kind of honoring Jay Briscoe in a way, by they canceled one of their segments for to pay respect to Jay, to not be disrespectful. The New Day originally was going to hold a funeral to that of Pretty Deadly, and after hearing the news of Jay Briscoe, Shawn Michaels cut that segment, and he said, "Yeah, we're not doing that. We're not doing that at all." And they switched it up, and that really, I'm sure that hits home to a lot of people, because I was told recently, that earlier today, by one of my buddies, a lot of people I think on NXT and in WWE and all over and all kinds of different wrestling promotions knew Jay Briscoe very well. So, this really hurts. This goes out to everyone. Even Sami Zayn took to Twitter in utter shock, and utter disbelief from this, and I'm sure those two go way back to their Ring of Honor days, back when Sami Zayn was El Generico. Same with that of Kevin Owens. I'm sure he's reeling from this. I'm sure he's trying to wrap his head around it, and my thoughts and prayers just go out to his family and friends, Jay Briscoe. Thank you for everything you've given to this business, man. You've given your heart, your soul, your everything. I mean, your blood, your sweat, your tears. You have done anything and everything you could for this business, and you can finally rest. You can finally rest at ease, I hope, knowing that everything you did in your life in professional wrestling did not go in vain, and that you did make a name for yourself. You made a name for you and your brother and your family, and you have I hope you have no regrets, because you really shouldn't. You did everything right. You did everything 10 times better than half the tag teams in the wrestling industry. You did a phenomenal job as a tag team wrestler, even as a singles wrestler, and thank you for everything you've done for this business and for us fans. I really appreciate it. I think I speak for all the fans when I say, we appreciate you so much, and we love and respect you, and we all hope that you have found your place somewhere, and that you are resting in peace right now, and that you're in a much better place than what this world has turned out to be so far. Alright, guys, so again, I'm really sorry to put this on a sad note. I'm really sorry, and I also don't want to take away from what I just said, but, kind of moving on a little bit more into the show of NXT. So, obviously, we saw that segment get cut. So, the New Day had a different bit of a segment. They were on TV. They did have the NXT tag titles. It does look like they're looking for new competitors. Gallus seems to be an interesting team that is, I guess they're looking for a shot. That's something to kind of look at. If Gallus were to get a title shot against the New Day, I'm going to be honest, I don't think the New Day should lose. I think the New Day should keep the belts, because I think the New Day can put a lot of people over with them, including Gallus. And honestly, I would like to see the New Day fight a team over on NXT, such as I don't mean to be disrespectful, but like, NXT has no good tag teams anymore, to be quite honest with you. They really don't. Like, they don't have it like they used to, and it just sucks. Like, DIY is not there anymore. Mustache Mountain isn't a thing anymore. MSK isn't a team anymore. The only teams I can really think of to take the titles off of the New Day is the Creed brothers, and really that's it, to be honest with you. But maybe down the line we'll see a little more with what they can do with those titles. More teams to step up to the plate. That would certainly be interesting. Now, we also saw the team of Axiom and Apollo Crews defeat Carmelo Hayes and Trick Williams last night. Now, this is interesting to me because obviously Apollo Crews and Axiom have, joined forces. They found a common enemy in Carmelo Hayes. And obviously, nobody likes Trick Williams in the locker room, in the sense that he's always cheating, he's always helping out Carmelo, and so this obviously works out for both parties, in the sense that Carmelo Hayes has said this, he's looking for an NXT title shot. And so this helps him out, because say this were to elevate him to fighting Apollo Crews or Axiom, or have some big match at Vengeance Day, and then he gets put in a position where he can win the match, and then maybe move on to fight the winner of the Steel Cage, that would certainly do well. And with it being this close to WrestleMania and Stand and Deliver coming up, I'm sure later down the line, NXT Stand and Deliver, I would love to see Carmelo Hayes take on Braun Breaker for the NXT Championship. I'd love to see that. I think that's what a lot of people are looking forward to, because I think that can be assumed that that's that's been a match that's been thought of and hopefully being built up to as we speak. Now we also saw Sol Ruka defeat Alba Fire. Now this surprises me. I haven't seen a lot with Sol Ruka, so I can't comment on her too much, but I do know she's a lot newer to this than Alba Fire. I do know she's a lot more inexperienced in NXT. She's one of the NXT rookies, kind of, if you want to call it that. And so this is interesting to me for her to be able to defeat someone, a veteran in NXT such as Alba Fire. And this also, kind of pegs the question for me: how much more does Alba Fire have left in NXT before she goes up to the main roster? And I say that because she's been wrestling as Kaylee Ray, first off, in NXT UK for how many years? And then proceeded to go to NXT, and she's been in NXT for maybe a year. And she recently became Alba Fire. And ever since becoming Alba Fire, she has been quite literally on fire in the sense that she's invoked this new persona, and she just had this massive rivalry with Isla Dawn where they were doing these very hardcore, very extremity matches, and she was doing the same thing with Mandy Rose. She did a last woman standing match with Mandy Rose. She's done a ton of things already in this new character with this new persona. And so maybe this is a calling card in a way, saying this is Sol Ruka's moment to kind of start being put over, and this is Alba Fire's moment to say, okay, I'm going to put other people over and then take my leave of absence when I go off and fight down in the main roster. Because, I mean, we've heard Dakota Kai say it herself. She would love to see Alba Fire come down to the main roster, because she had said, working with Kaylee Ray and Alba Fire, whatever she's called, working with her in NXT and just in the Performance Center, she had a great time working with her. And so because she was asked, who would you want in Damage Control if you got a fourth member, and her thought went to Alba Fire. And so that's an interesting statement for me. That's interesting. We also saw Gallus defeat Brooks Jensen and Josh Briggs. Now this isn't surprising. These two teams fought before in the past. However, the first time around ended in a disqualification, so neither team won. This time, however, Gallus won, and that doesn't surprise me, because Gallus, obviously they've been building them up for something a little bit bigger. However, I don't think they're going to be taking the NXT Tag Team titles away from the New Day. I could see them having a match with the New Day at Vengeance Day, but I don't see Gallus walking away with the titles quite yet. But you never know. We'll just have to kind of wait and see what the game plan is for Gallus, see what the game plan is for the New Day. I think Shawn Michaels is one of the smartest minds in all of professional wrestling, and the fact that he has a much more creative control with NXT, I think it's only going to benefit NXT right now, and I think NXT has been severely benefiting, in my opinion, these past couple of weeks from that idea. Now we saw Thea Hale defeat Valentina Feroz. Now I don't really know either of these two that well, to be completely honest with you. I believe Thea Hale, if I'm correct, she is the girl with Chase University right now, which I think is great, because I've always liked Chase U. I think Thea Hale, and if it's the girl I'm thinking of, and Brody and all of them, I think they have a real I think they have a real chemistry for entertainment and with each other. Like, they all kind of work well together and are able to really entertain, put on some entertaining segments. And so I would love to see them kind of get a little more involved in their wrestling capabilities and be able to put on some really good matches and maybe move up the totem pole a little bit more. Now we also saw Tyler Bate defeating Javier Bernal. Now, come on, it's safe to say Javier Bernal lately has been used as a mid-carder. He's been used as a guy to put people over, a jobber, if you will. And Tyler Bate coming back, first off, coming back, making his return, that's huge. And and he's officially staying on NXT, and so there's only so much now that you can really look at when you're looking at this, because the idea of him coming in and saying, well, I'm here, and, kind of another list of names that are being drawn from the hat. This is interesting, especially this close to Vengeance Day, he's gonna want to fight Braun Breaker at some point. He's gonna want to fight for the NXT Championship at some point. And to be quite honest with you, if Grayson Waller managed to beat Braun Breaker at Vengeance Day, Tyler Bate could certainly be a Grayson Waller opponent. I feel like it would. Braun Breaker and Grayson Waller. We saw both of them comment on the New Year's Evil match. And again, the match itself was really good, and I can only anticipate and wait in excitement for this match that's coming up at Vengeance Day. However, I have all these theories running through my head for Vengeance Day because there's just so much, to look at and speculate, especially with this idea of William Regal coming back on the first NXT pay-per-view, which would be Vengeance Day. That would be really interesting. And so all these ideas and all these thoughts are running through my head. And so I can what's next, I can only imagine like where they would go from Vengeance Day. And so I'm without a doubt most certainly looking forward to this upcoming Vengeance Day for this year of 2023. Now, obviously our main event for NXT, we saw Roxanne Perez and Lyra Valkyria defeat Toxic Attraction. Now, Toxic Attraction is Roxanne Perez's next opponent for the NXT Women's Championship. We saw both Gigi Dolan and Jacy Jayne win, and so that's really interesting to me because Roxanne Perez, obviously, she's no stranger to competition. We've seen her pull off some great matches in Ring of Honor, in Impact Wrestling. She's been an underdog her whole life, and she's, stood up to the plate, and she's fought back, and she's continued to persevere. And so Roxanne Perez, without a doubt, I can almost guarantee you, is not scared of some competition. She's not scared or nervous for this idea of having to go into this match and fight both, two best friends. I think, if anything, she's looking forward to the challenge. She's up to the challenge because of the idea that Roxanne Perez is... She's this huge baby face, right? I mean, when you think about it, she's almost kind of like what Bayley was in NXT. And that's huge because Bayley was like one of the biggest faces in NXT. I mean, Bayley, when she was in NXT and then going up to the main roster, she was that girl that you would look at her and you would be like, there's no way they can ever make her go heel. There's no way they can ever make her a bad guy. And that's kind of where Roxanne Perez is right now. She's with that idea of like, there's no way you can look at Roxanne Perez and be like, she's going to be one of the biggest heels one day. And so she just has that babyface persona right now where she is someone that's up to the challenge and she's ready to go and she's not going to give up. And that's going to, I think, really elevate her in the sense that her taking it's great for champions, in my opinion, because for champions it's just going to put on more entertaining matches because you're going to have this idea of I want competition, and so you're going to be looking constantly at all these new women and other you know what I mean, all these new women superstars coming in of like, okay, well, who's going to take the title, who's next, who's next, like, oh, Roxanne beat this girl, so now who's going to take the title, now who's next to the challenge, who's going to step up to the plate next. And so that's where that idea comes in, and that's where my thought process is like, where because I said this before, the idea of Roxanne Perez being NXT Women's Champion, I think, is very beneficial to the division because she is being given an opportunity to really trend set the women's division and really kind of just use this women's title as a beacon to put over a lot of other superstars in really great ways and in a really great light. And I think that's going to benefit the entire women's division, not just one singular. Now, obviously, Lyra Valkyria, I don't know much about her. I do know she's an incredible wrestler. In fact, I'm pretty sure she was the woman she was the last woman eliminated from the Battle Royal by Jacy Jayne and Gigi Dolan, as far as I'm aware. And so, again, this kind of puts her in a good position because if and when Roxanne Perez successfully defends her title against Gigi Dolan and Jacy Jayne, this could open her up for a great opportunity this could open up Lyra for a great opportunity to take on Roxanne Perez next. And that's what I'm saying. This is where Roxanne Perez can have that constant, like, well, you're next, and you're next, and it's a never-ending cycle. Because you have all these willing women that are building themselves up more and more. I mean, we're seeing, every week here lately, we've been seeing a lot from Tiffany Stratton. In terms of segments and promos, and we've been seeing a little rivalry between Wendy Chu and Cora Jade, and when that starts to kind of go down a little bit and they start to kind of build themselves back up, one can only imagine where they'll go from there. And Zoe Stark and Nikita Lyons, you've seen their issues, and when that starts to blow up and they start to fizzle out of that rivalry and go into separate directions, then they can move on and fight for the women's title. You know what I mean? Down the line, they can fight Roxanne Perez for the women's title down the line. And so that's really interesting to me. Now, moving on from NXT last night to tonight's AEW, we're going to go over the predictions as well as the match card for tonight's AEW. We've got Hangman Adam Page. He's going to be speaking with Renee Paquette. Now, this is obviously very interesting because everyone knows Renee is married to Jon Moxley, who Hangman Adam Page just defeated last week in singles competition. And so, now Renee is not one to really show any biases. However, I would like to kind of see a little conversation between him and Renee and just kind of see where that might go, see if Mox shows up. I mean, Moxley is not one to not show up. We've seen him on almost every Dynamite, almost every Rampage for how many weeks? I mean, this guy has a great work ethic. This is the same guy that when CM Punk did his whole thing and he kind of shattered everything for a minute. Jon Moxley, who was going to go on 6 weeks vacation, canceled all that and said, and he came in. And obviously, yes, he was, kind of told to do that, but at the same time, he didn't have to do that. But he loves this business, and he loves the company, and he loves the fans to the point where he was like, no, I am going to do that. He has a great work ethic. And that's something that, it would be almost surprising to not see Moxley on Dynamite tonight. And so that's where my mind goes to, will we see him kind of confront Hangman while Hangman is talking to Moxley's wife, Renee? Now, we're also going to be seeing Willow Nightingale versus Toni Storm. Now, this is interesting. Obviously, Toni Storm and Saraya got a little bit of heat after the whole debacle with Hikaru Shida. And there have been questions of, is Hikaru Shida going to turn heel? Is Saraya turning heel? Is Toni Storm turning heel? I think it's safe to say that Toni Storm could be turning heel. However, it could really all come together tonight, because could you imagine, Willow Nightingale's been on fire here lately, I feel like. She's been getting more TV time, more time on Dynamites, not Rampages, which is very beneficial. And so I could see Willow Nightingale winning this match, even if it's just via a roll-up or something, and then Toni Storm turning heel off of that, like Toni Storm getting angry, attacking Willow Nightingale from behind. I'm not really sure where that kind of would stand. Because if this did happen, obviously Ruby Soho, who seems to be developing a bit of a friendship with Willow Nightingale, this could lead to Ruby Soho fighting Toni Storm, or maybe Saraya down the line, and that could only benefit more because obviously Ruby Soho and Toni Storm, two really great athletes right now, and two women that I think deserve a shot at Jamie Hayter's AEW Women's World Championship. Toni Storm obviously deserving it because she just, that rematch for the title since Full Gear, and Ruby Soho because she's been having this feud with Anna Jay and Ty Mello for how many weeks, how many months even, and she's come back from it. Her wrestling capabilities have done nothing but improve. She hasn't had a women's title shot in so long. She hasn't had a women's you know what I mean? Like, she really deserves this, and I'd love to see her, take it to Jamie Hayter, and that would be really interesting. So, in terms of predictions, this is a tough one, but I'm gonna go with Willow Nightingale. I love Willow Nightingale. I think she has a great way of entertaining a crowd, a great ring presence around her, and just this all-around great wrestling style that is really just gonna help push her into a more it's just gonna elevate her more and push her up the totem pole a lot more. And so I'm going to go with Willow Nightingale on this one. Now, we're also going to be seeing the Young Bucks versus Top Flight. Now, I am obviously going to go with the Young Bucks on this one. However, Top Flight has certainly been doing some very wondrous things here lately. They've been fighting a lot of teams here lately. They've been doing a lot of in-ring work lately. The Top Flight they're certainly trying to make a name for themselves, and there's no doubt in my mind that Top Flight isn't going to be the next biggest tag team in the world at some point. There's no doubt in my mind that one day we will see Top Flight with the AEW World Tag Team Championships. However, that being said, I don't see them beating the Young Bucks. We've seen them fight the Young Bucks before, and it's no disrespect to that of Top Flight. It's just that I'm not even sure where the Young Bucks stand right now in terms of wrestling. Like, do they stand as heels? Do they stand as baby faces? I don't really know. And yeah, they're just coming off of this massive AEW Trios win for the Trios titles, but at the same time, these are guys that are so unpredictable, and you never know if they're going to cheat or if they're going to fight fair. And so I think it's safe to say that the Young Bucks are the wild cards. And on top of that, Top Flight has never successfully beat the Young Bucks. Even without the Young Bucks cheating. And so I'm gonna go with the Young Bucks on this one, just because I think they're the veteran team, and I think Top Flight still has a little bit more ways to go before before they can beat the Young Bucks. And on top of that, the Young Bucks are still red, fiery hot, after the impressive win from last week, like I had mentioned. Now, we also will be seeing the AEW All-Atlantic Championship being defended when Orange Cassidy takes on Jay Lethal. My pick for this is Orange Cassidy. Now, obviously, yes, him and the best friends, they seem to be having some issues, and that's okay. I think they will work that out. I think they'll be able to, come back from that. And on Rampage, we saw them kind of have some issues with Jay Lethal and Samir Singh and Sanjay Dutt and um um Jeff Jarrett. That being said, though, I think this is a great opportunity because Jay Lethal is, out of all the wrestlers so far that Cassidy's faced for this title, Jay Lethal, he is honestly a very lethal competitor. He's a very dangerous competitor. No pun intended when I said lethal competitor. He's a very dangerous competitor in the sense that he is much more top tier than what Cassidy has really faced here lately. Now, obviously, yes, he defeated Pac for the title, but since then, he hasn't really been fighting against not to say that the wrestlers he's been fighting aren't great wrestlers, but more so to say that the high caliber wrestlers he's been wrestling in terms of AEW, they haven't earned that AEW prestige in the sense that Tony Khan hasn't built them up enough to really say you're going to beat Cassidy for the belt. Jay Lethal is a wild card in the sense that him and Sanjay Dutt and Jeff Jarrett, we don't really know where their direction is going, where they're being led off to. And so I could certainly see them saying, no, Jay's gonna win tonight. And like that I could certainly see that being Tony Khan's idea. However, I don't think it's Cassidy's time yet. I think Cassidy's going to stay as champion a little while longer, which is why I think Cassidy is going to retain and why he's my pick for tonight. But, the main reason I'm saying this with Jay Lethal is the fact that I just think this is one of Cassidy's more bigger matches with the All-Atlantic Championship. And on top of that, he's defending it at Dynamite, not Rampage, which makes it even more bigger, which, honestly, it makes me happy knowing that in the sense that Orange Cassidy deserves to be on Dynamite. He deserves to be on their main show in the sense that he's been nothing but one of their most entertaining guys for the past how many years. He's been nothing but one of their most, one of the guys that's really just been putting on some very entertaining matches over the past couple of years. The most recent I can think of is his one with Will Ospreay at Forbidden Door. I mean, the guy just has a great knack for this business, a great knack for this sport, as well as, both the wrestling and entertaining side of this. And that's where you don't get that often. You don't get that mix. And so that's where it would be great to see Cassidy keep this title and kind of just keep that moving in the sense that, he retains tonight and then finds other really great competitors to step up to the plate down the line. Now, moving on, we're also going to be seeing Bryan Danielson versus Bandito. My pick is obviously Bryan Danielson because, again, we've been seeing Bryan Danielson wrestling every week for the most part, and every week he's kind of building up more and more with this idea of him and MJF. And I think without a doubt it's safe to say that him and MJF are going to have a match eventually, but it's probably not going to be till Revolution, which I know is still far away, but we've heard MJF say before, I'm only defending my title on pay-per-views. I'm only defending my title, on big events. And so we might have to wait till Revolution, to be quite honest with you. As for Bandito, he's a great athlete, don't get me wrong. Former Ring of Honor champion. The dude is honestly a very talented guy. I'm a huge fan of Bandito. However, that being said, AEW's overlooked Bandito extremely, like to an extreme. I mean, first of all, they had the guy lose to Ethan Page of all people. It's safe to say that AEW doesn't really care about Bandito in the sense that they're not really using him for himself. Like, they're not using him to push him up into bigger matches. They're using him to put over other guys and push them and elevate them into other matches, And so that's where I think it's most obvious and most likely that Bryan Danielson will become the victor of this match tonight. Now we're also going to see Jake Hager versus Ricky Starks. This could go either way, in my opinion, but I'm going to go with Ricky Starks because we've seen Ricky Starks when it comes to bigger guys like Powerhouse Hobbs. I swear there was another one. Brian Cage, that's one of them. He's someone that, he's quick, he's fast, he's never ending, he doesn't give up, and so I could 100% see Ricky Starks coming out on top. He's my pick for this, mainly because of the fact of his feud with the JAS, and on top of that, he already beat Chris Jericho. He's already been, kind of proven himself week in and week out. I could see him getting the victory over Jake Hager and only pissing off the JAS more, and then maybe down the line getting another match against Chris Jericho, or maybe even a match against Sammy Guevara, and then maybe losing, and then, which will allow the rivalry to continue even further, but I'm not sure. And I can only imagine where the JAS and Action Andretti will be for this match. Like, I can only imagine the chaos and the further storyline and rivalry that will kind of come out and transcend after this match tonight. And so I'm not saying Jake Hager isn't a possible victor for this. I'm saying that I think, in my opinion, Ricky Starks is the more obvious answer. He's the more he's the more smart option, if you will, the more logical answer to this to who might win this match. Now, this one, our main event, moving on to our main event, this is by far going to be the biggest match in terms of headlines. Now, I said this a few episodes ago, after Hard to Kill, Kushida recently returning to to Impact Wrestling, and on top of that, he is going to AEW tonight, and he's going to be challenging for the TNT Championship when he takes on Darby Allin in singles action. Now, I can only imagine the fans. This is a dream match. Darby Allin versus Kushida, two guys who, in my opinion, have similar movesets, similar styles, and two guys that I could just picture having an incredible matchup. And that's why I think so many people love this idea of Darby Allin as TNT champion. Because already he's pulled off some of the best matches. Him and Juice Robinson, what a headline that was. And now him and Kushida, can only imagine how big that's going to get. Now, in terms of predictions, I am going to go Darby Allin. This is Kushida's first match in AEW. This is his, he's not even signed to AEW, he's signed to Impact Wrestling. And so this is more so just the idea of we're going to break open the forbidden door, and we kind of want Kushida to, bring in some names, bring in some headlines, and on top of that, just give us some good ratings by putting on a great show with Darby Allin. However, I am going to go with Darby for this because I think he's only been champion for what, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, not even that long. To be quite honest, I don't think it's even been that long. And so I think Darby Allin is not going to lose the title yet. I think he's going to keep the title for quite some time and just keep moving his way up the totem pole with that title. And just because right now with MJF not being an active champion, not being a fighting champion as AEW World Heavyweight Champion, this is giving Darby as the TNT champion an opportunity to be the face of AEW, to be the main champion of AEW. And he is, without a doubt, not taking that lightly. He's been defending his title as many times as he can, given open challenges and opportunities as many times as possible. And tonight's no different, and I think Darby Allin's going to treat it like no different and go in and come out, walk in, walk out, TNT champion, no change, same thing. So my prediction for that is Darby Allin. And ladies and gentlemen, that is going to conclude tonight's episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys liked it. If you did, please leave a like. Please comment down below any topics you'd like to see more of. And again, major shout out to Jay Briscoe and his family. May Jay rest in peace. May his family. I'm keeping them all in my thoughts and prayers. I hope you guys do the same. Thank you again for another great episode, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.